can't wait for this tapping. It's like one of my favorites.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Hey guys, thank you for watching The Last Scare. We're here today to talk about body horror. We have made a huge dive into body horror. I'm here, Jayla. Hello.
Cam.
You guys have Blake and Sabrina. How are you guys doing?
Good. Excited
Doing well.
to somewhat talk about this. In a way.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
gonna be an interesting discussion.
Absolutely. So first off, like body horror, obviously. Blake, Sabrina, where are you guys at? Like, what's pure body horror for you?
The Thing.
Yeah.
When I hear body horror,
We were just talking about that. That's
The
like,
Thing. Most iconic one.
Yeah. I've watched a lot. We've watched a lot recently, and like The Thing is still my favorite.
me too. But we
I don't think I've ever really seen it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think
I think that's one of
the
the classics she hasn't visited yet.
Yeah.
I think it was like something that like I think when I was a kid, like my dad probably mentioned it and was probably like, no, you're not watching that. And like I'm sure it's not that bad, but probably like back then my dad's like, I'm not showing you something like that.
I mean, surprisingly, for a movie that's that old, the tension is still there. The effects are better, I think, than most movies today.
You think
which kind of
you
says a
think
lot.
that they would still hold up till this day, kind of ordeal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And it still holds up.
I always
Like-
love when those kind of movies like from back then that like sometimes like the effects can still like hold up from that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than the Thing prequel that came out in 2011. That didn't even look as good as this old one did.
Yeah, that was really rough for me because I got really into The Thing and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. You know, I'm someone that loves special effects makeup. It's a huge passion of mine. And I watched the prequel right after and I was like, oh, because like, you know, The Thing has these incredible scenes with the bit that gets me is when he's like reaching into his stomach and then his arms get clamped off or like the head like
Stretches
yeah, I
off.
just looked it up. I
Yeah.
have seen like stuff for this movie, but I've never full on watched it.
I can guarantee you've probably seen the iconic imagery, the head all stretched out with all the different arms. And
Oh yeah, I think I said something about that, and I was like, when we were watching Evil Dead, I was like, oh my god, okay, I've seen that, and it's like that kind of like creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one thing I've noticed is like for The Thing, it feels like it's the most consistent with body horror. A lot of the other body horrors we watched, there are more elements than like it's being like
a body horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. Hellraiser on Hulu comes to mind when towards the end, spoilers, towards the end when the thing falls out of him and you see like his spine's broken and it like mends back together.
That was really like I think the whole time that he had that contraption inside of him, I was like, that ever comes out, like I'm curious to see like does everything fall apart?
How is this dude coping?
Yeah, well it's that and like when it came out, it's like, okay. Does like his entire body like fall apart at that point? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I got my answer.
And
I was like, oh, okay. So you know.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite moments from like all the movies I've been watching. It was that. Terrifier 2 had some body horror in it. What do you think?
What was the first one?
Loved Terrifier 2, and I was expecting to hate it, and I loved it. The scene everyone talks about is pretty well done. I think in terms of like the way they shot it, they could have lingered on it a little bit longer. But the if you look at the behind the scenes of how they set up the alley puppet thing, basically, it's pretty remarkable, especially with the budget they were working with. It was like $250,000.
And during COVID.
Yeah, that's a nothing budget.
We have COVID to thank for that kill.
Yeah, time. For you guys, did you guys have any favorite scenes in like a Terrifier 2 or like a movie that isn't exactly body horror but definitely has body horror scenes?
I would say it's my favorite, but it was memorable. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like watching the first one, that kind of screwed me up for a bit, and then the second one came out, and we watched it on Halloween, and I was like, okay. I was like, I think after a while, like, it's one thing for body horror, but like for me, it went on a little too long. And I know because we just had COVID's to thank for that, because when COVID hit, he was able to write more of that scene and everything. But like, it was going on for too long, and I was like, all right, I get the point.
When that guy came back into the bedroom with equipment, that's, I think, when a lot of people were like, that's the line.
He's just a silly little guy.
He's just a silly little guy. He's got no malicious intent.
Literally, Blake, the only time he talks about him, he's my silly little guy. And I'm like, stop.
Is Terrifier 2 a new Thanksgiving movie? It has mashed potatoes.
Funny enough, I do think Terrifier 3 will be a Thanksgiving movie. If you keep up with the director on Twitter.
No, don't tell him that, because then he's going to make us watch it every Thanksgiving now.
I mean,
and I'm going to lose my appetite.
Slasher villain coming around every Halloween is a little played, and they could kind of
do Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
Screw up those holidays next.
Yeah,
he said
for Christmas.
Yeah, he said Terrifier 3 is going to pick up right where 2 ended, which means we're in the month of November. So
more mashed potatoes?
More mashed potato. And if we're lucky, Terrifier 4, he will bring Christmas to a screeching halt for the last movie. I really hope so.
We just have a Terrifier for each holiday.
I love the idea of Art in a Santa costume just standing there, you know?
Like a little Santa costume.
Coming a Terrifier 2 review.
For Christmas and the success of Terrifier 2, I don't know if you've seen it, but they made a Christmas themed sweater for Terrifier of Art holding a bloody axe in Santa's head with like a little Santa hat on by the fireplace.
It sounds great. And it's funny because with Terrifier 2, I'm so stoked that it got the theatrical releases that it did. Because body horror specifically has horror in general, but body horror specifically has dealt with so much censorship with David Cronenberg's The Brood. Wow,
The Brood. That's a weird movie.
That was very weird.
I think they made like 3 of those too.
Really?
I think they made a lot.
Dare I ask what that is?
This is just this creepy little guy. That's it.
Yeah, that had some issues with censorship, but go ahead.
It's a classic Cronenberg, just drama with a little bit of body horror at the end. I realize that's what Cronenberg does. He does a big dramatic, like kind of suspenseful movie that just has a little body horror.
Social commentary on what? Pregnancy?
Yeah,
grief
so that
trauma?
one was about his it's all about grief and trauma. That one was actually about his ex-wife, because Cronenberg was going through a divorce at the time, and I think he just thought of his ex-wife as this like horrible villain, because like the big body horror scene at the end is spoilers here, but it's like a woman just kind of licking her fetus. It's pretty gross.
You kind of have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, because like it's not like it's like a sack coming out of her stomach that she like opens up, and she just kind of like.
And that's not like the meat of the movie. The meat of the movie is just like a bunch of like ugly kids like killing people.
Feral children.
Feral children. Most
what
of
was
it.
What was that one that you told me about that you saw? I think it was this year, Blake, about a guy giving birth or something.
Oh, that was Men. We don't talk about Men, but the end of that movie is body horror to a T.
Yeah, it is, and I've been telling him about it without telling him about that last bit because
it's I'd say it's unearned.
It is
given
unearned.
That movie. It's so like, where did this come from? Because this is insane. React. She doesn't get a voice.
No, exactly.
Given that scene.
Oh, exactly.
It's not her ending at all.
God, that made me so mad that like this entire time, this is such a random tangent, I'm sorry. This entire time, she was forced like to listen to like how these guys feel about her and how like she's like negatively affecting these people, but she never gets to talk for herself about how she feels.
No, it was always, it's a social commentary horror movie about how men are bad, written by a man. And it shows, it cuts to credits, and I immediately turned to one of my friends I saw it with, the only girl that we saw it with, and she's like, this was written by a man. 100%. Looked it up, and it was.
I was
It's,
upsetty afterwards.
yeah,
I'll have to bring that up to her later.
it was no good.
Nah, that'd be something I would say. I'm like, this was totally written by a man.
Yeah, it's, it shows.
Why is that
You
like
don't
some guy gives
understand.
birth in the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Probably gonna watch it at this point. She's telling me how bad it is, but she talks about it so much that I'm like,
what
I
sucks
need to watch it.
is I'm sure we're on the same page because it's not a poorly made movie. It's a gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
It just missed so many marks on what it could have accomplished.
The first act, I was really into it, and it just deflated.
It derails itself as it goes on.
But no, that ending, yeah, it's. I won't say anything else about it, but it's a lot. It's a lot that happens, and it is actually pretty grody. It's just out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere. It doesn't fit the movie, surprisingly.
No, not at all.
I don't know if I know Sabrina hasn't seen it, but Crimes of the Future, another Cronenberg that came out this year.
Another real slow burn.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie either.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's it's more science fiction, I think, than it is horror.
It's like an erotic thriller, honestly.
It's an erotic thriller, definitely.
I was pretty disappointed by Cronenberg. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, we watched a bunch of Cronenberg, and
the one that hit the most was probably The Fly, but I also love Jeff Goldblum. So
I thought The Fly was just a lot of fun, and it was pretty gross and gory, and it was still funny. It was still Goldblum.
Yeah. That was my favorite. That was the time I was like, okay, this is what I was expecting when I got to Cronenberg, because like.
Videodrome was pretty slow too.
I didn't like Videodrome, which I feel like is a sin to say. I feel like, when I was talking about body horror and like asking a lot of people that, they're older than me, really into horror, they've always brought up Videodrome, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be like this is gonna be the moment. And I watched it and I was like, all right.
Yeah. With him and exactly what you've been saying, I think it's he takes a weird story and tries to convey his social commentary on it, and then dashes in some body horror. Whereas The Fly, he embraces that body horror and runs with it the entire time, pretty much, and that's where I think he finds the most success.
Yeah,
that's the only one of his we've watched that I felt like wasn't about something.
It was just fun, like you said. I love Jeff Goldblum in that movie. It's just a blast. But speaking of Cronenberg, his son made a movie called I forgot. Possessor. I almost said Raw.
Possessor Uncut. Uncut is like part of the title.
Have you guys seen Possessor?
I have seen some of it. I'm waiting to go back and actually watch it all the way through with Sabrina. I'm very curious to see how she would take to it.
Why do you say it like that? It's always like, you get me scared when you say things like that. I'm like, is this that bad of a movie?
No, it's not that it's bad.
It's not horror, and in my opinion,
horror adjacent.
It's horror adjacent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I usually like, like basic horror movie stuff, but there's some stuff that I'm like a little too much in horror that I'm like, okay, I don't like that. That's why it's like.
It's got
it's artsy.
A little bit of stuff.
Is there anything like that I probably wouldn't like in that movie?
It's body horror.
If you had issues with Hereditary, and if you had issues with Halloween Ends, you might have issues with this one. Some elements.
No, the only one I didn't really like that came out this year that everyone else did, I just didn't like, was X. I just did not like X.
That one's fair.
And I
thought it was really overrated. Yeah. I love
it was just, it's that weird, they that line that they always make I don't know. It's like when they put it too creepy and sexualize it in horror, it's like sometimes it's already too much, and I'm like, all right, I'm like just,
Possessor.
That's why I'm not gonna show you Crimes of the Future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Blake knows like how I feel about certain things. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
okay.
came out of that movie and I was like, the tagline and the whole plot is surgery is the new sex. Just gonna leave it at that.
Nah, I'm good.
Let your imagination fill in the blanks.
Nah, I'm
And there was
good.
something
I'm
about
good.
like plastic. There was something about like climate change, like plastic waste, and it feels like there was a bunch of themes that he had that just didn't mesh well, and I really didn't like the techno babble.
They made plastic look so appetizing, to be fair.
It looked pretty good. It was pretty tasty. I'm not
I
gonna
just
lie.
wanted to melt down an action figure and
The chocolate bar, the little like food bars they had looked
Oh,
like a
yeah.
Willy Wonka treat.
yeah.
Oh, Raw. We watched Raw that same night.
Yeah. It was
Another fun movie about eating stuff.
Jesus Christ.
I have not seen Raw, so I don't know what happens in it.
It's what everyone thought the menu was. It's cannibalism.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is cannibalism.
Watch Fresh. That was pretty good. Didn't we both enjoy it?
What?
The menu?
Fresh.
Oh, Fresh. Oh,
I
Fresh.
haven't seen Fresh.
He hasn't seen Fresh
Okay.
yet. I liked
I
Fresh.
liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's one of those movies that I liked, but I never need to see again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
that's
it's
intriguing.
like I would never put it on for a fun rewatch. I wouldn't.
I won't even lie.
it-
It's not exact.
This
I
one's
did not. Yes, the title should have kind of gave it away, but I had no idea it was about cannibalism. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And then like
it's-
you know right away, and it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, if you see the trailer, it's pretty much that's how the movie is. It doesn't really try to psych you out with anything.
No,
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
think
straightforward
I fully watched.
movie.
I don't know if I watched like the trailer. Like I think I just watched it once and I forgot about it, and then it came out and I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't see it because Sebastian Stan in it, and then I was like, oh yeah.
I like
That
Sebastian
time
Stan. I just wasn't blown away by it.
He was a fun villain.
He is a fun villain.
He's a fun villain. He's a little goofy guy. Just
That's
trying
kind
to.
of why I liked it because I was like, oh,
Have a
he
job.
doesn't always usually, play that kind of role. So I was like, okay, not the villain role, but just like something like that. So I'm like,
Like a little creep.
yeah.
But with as far as Raw goes, I feel like they held themselves back with a few elements. Her slight light spoilers, her change of character, her arc feels a bit rushed to me. Looking back on it, I feel like we could have had a few more beats in there of her.
Well, isn't that what it's like being thrown into college?
No, this college is insane. Like you find this out right off the bat. The college is like so crazy. Like this first scene happens. I turn to him. Like, are they just going along with this? Are they just like?
It's Texas A&M. It's a cult.
It is like a cult.
That might have been too niche of a joke.
There's definitely moments that made me like not want. I couldn't look at the screen during it, but I do feel like some of it could have been a bit stronger as far as story goes and character goes.
Yeah, it was a 90-minute movie, which to
To go
me
to
is
that movie.
short.
I don't think that's always a bad thing though, because I mean, like if you get your point across in a certain amount of time, it's like okay. I feel like some people care too much about the length of the movies, and it's like because of that they want to make it as long as possible, and it could like drag a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Sure.
You could look at Terrifier 2. Did that need to be nearly 2.5 hours to
no.
get that point across?
Turned it.
No.
Yeah, no, actually the pacing was pretty good for me.
It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours.
No,
I mean,
no.
I think we're in the minority on that because that was a big complaint before I even got to saw it, and I'm like, it didn't really drag in my opinion.
Well, I think
Mhm.
but that's a good thing though, when it doesn't feel like the time frame that it is.
I think the first one drags, and it's not even an hour and a half.
Oh my god. I can't get into the first one again. It's gonna like melt my brain.
I like it, but I've seen it so many times at this point. I'm like, okay, halfway through, I'm done.
Oh man,
I missed the time of my life where I didn't see that.
I can't do it.
Before you saw what was behind his little curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many. I can watch so many horror movies, and I'm fine. But like the first Terrifier, I think it's like scarred me a little bit. I think it's like it sticks with me. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Mhm.
I just can't. It's
And like I was like I could like
It's
watch
infamous.
people like I've seen like Michael Myers like fucking curb stomp somebody and like that was fine, but this I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like what is this? Like I was freaking out. I was just like, I was trying not to like look, but I also was like you want to look away, but it's also like you got to see with your own eyes to believe it, kind of thing. And it's that's not what I expected at all. Like Blake was warning me, and I was like, it was so much worse. It was so much worse.
Yeah, your reaction was iconic.
Oh, that made me a little queasy, not gonna lie. I was like, oh, okay, no. I was like, all right, you can stop now. And he just kept going. And I was like,
yeah, they really drug it out. Have you guys seen Reanimator? That's another one that I love.
It's a classic one I'm familiar with, but I haven't seen.
I love Reanimator because it's like an evil scientist doing evil scientist stuff, and he is just. It's bizarre and wacky, and like they use 900 light sticks for this like goo that like tries to bring people back to life.
Yeah. That dude was unhinged.
That's one that I know Sabrina's going to get into. Not only because it's like Evil Dead, but because they have crossed over with Evil Dead in the comics. So.
That's right. Okay, so
yeah, Army of Darkness versus Reanimator.
Yeah,
one is based on Lovecraft, and the other, the Necronomicon, I'm pretty sure that was also a Lovecraft creation. I'm pretty sure H.P. Lovecraft came up with that.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm also kind of not new to horror, but it's never been my genre for years. It was hard for me to find any movies that were like compelling or just even entertaining to me. I wasn't into it, but ever since I've been hanging with Jayla, I've watched so many horror movies. I'm totally into it now.
Look what you did, Jayla.
No, literally we're the same, because like I was such a casual horror fan. Like I would be like, if a movie was coming out, I'd see it and like that's it. I wouldn't think about it. Now it's like ever since me and Blake got together, like he's like, oh my god, this horror movie, and I'm like, oh, I liked this one as a kid. And now it's like, okay, I'm like bracing it now, and like, oh my god, now I'm like obsessed, and I'm like, I just want to watch everything horror now. And like
her horror movie shirt collection is insane now.
Oh god, it's like I literally on Black Friday I bought like a bunch, and I was like, look what he's doing to me, man. Like,
yeah, we were watching Evil Dead 2, and that's when it clicked for me. There's some good body horror in that, and I was like, huh, I think body horror is like my corner of the genre that I'm into. And
okay, well, yeah, I think everybody has their own like little genre.
There's something for everybody when it comes to horror. That's why if someone's like, it's not for me, I'm like, we can find one that is for you.
Yeah, I'm a slasher kind of girl, so just basic slasher.
And the camp. I mean, slashers can be campy too. So.
I love a good campy slasher. That's why I like Terrifier 2 so much. Not to bring it up again, but like,
please bring it up.
It's just fun.
He's charming. That dude is charming as hell.
Yeah.
So like, if you're focusing on body horror, have you seen like?
Oh my god!
I gotta know though. Have you seen Jeepers Creepers? I just have to know. Have you ever seen them? Any of them?
Oh no, was that Justin Long's first movie?
His first horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, Justin.
Now he's the king. He's like one of the king of horrors.
Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't like Barbarians, but it's fine.
I actually, I don't know.
The day we watched, or the night before the night we watched Barbarian, all day I was like, "Bah, bah," to her all day.
Like,
she's like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Well, you'll see."
I just like, everyone was hyping it up. Everyone was like, this is like the craziest twist. This is so crazy. We haven't seen anything like this. It's wild.
I wasn't expecting it.
I think it was too hyped up for sure.
I went in the whole time thinking that Bill Skarsgård was going to be like the like monster thingy or whatever it was, and then he ended up dying within like the first like 20 minutes, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what is this?
They cast him very intentionally too.
Yeah, to throw you off. Yeah. So I was like, oh no, he's gonna be like a creep or something's gonna be up, like. But that was good because I think everybody went in expecting that, and it's like not what you expect at all.
There's a lot of these that we call body horror that really, truly aren't really scary. They're just sort of like gross out.
Like, that was a crazy kill, something like that.
Raw.
But these are like black comedies, and that's what I'm into. I love, because like it's really hard to like scare me. So if they can just lean into doing just really a dark, funny movie. Like Slither is probably my shining example
Yeah.
of body horror, but really
James
it's about
That's James Gunn, right?
That
Yeah.
is James Gunn.
he's in the movie
Yeah.
too. He's got a little cameo in there,
I
and
love
I
it when
just didn't.
directors
I
do
wasn't
that.
expecting that. It was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's a
and-
really good point. I
Dang.
feel like there's more crossover because there's like, physical humor. And I think that's a lot. You can like, easily tie that into body horror, like in Society when
Butthead. That's all
there
I'm
was
gonna
a
say.
there was a butt head. There was a fish face. There's a lot of like weird. Society is the weirdest movie that we watched. And we watched some weird movies. It has like it has your like your body melting. You have like a guy. Spoiler alert, I guess, for Society.
A movie that came out in 1989.
1989. I'm sorry, but a guy he reaches his hand into him through his face, and then he like pulls him inside out.
Pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
That was probably one of my favorite body horror moments from like everything we've seen. It was that. Geez. The saw going through the back and Reanimator, there's a moment where he takes a bone saw and he like, takes it through the back of this guy through his chest. That's another one. Do you guys have any favorite like body horror moments that's just like this is what I want when I go to this genre?
There's so many.
Sabrina's like, no, I hate it. I hate it all.
No,
Yeah.
like there's,
That's one that we haven't really touched on. Transformations. I
Oh,
live for body horror when it comes to werewolf movies.
Okay.
Specifically that like contortionist thing, like in the Benicio del Toro, those fingers snapping down in or American Werewolf in London with his face just getting stretched out. Those are my favorites.
Yeah. Oh.
Probably American Werewolf in London transformation, just because it looks so painful. Like you'd think it'd be cool to turn into like this Wolfman thing and just wreak havoc, but no, it is a curse.
Yeah, anytime anyone's like, would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf? It's vampire all day because turning into a werewolf
must be so fucking painful. Ugh.
It would suck. No, not in a million years.
That's what I think they nail about the Hulk. He's a very horror-centric character that Marvel, you got to start upping the horror with him. But it should be painful, and it should be a horrific moment when it's a transformation. And I think that's my corner of body horror, or transformations into a monster.
I like people turning into goop when it comes to body horror. I like them like melting and getting all gross. Which that's one thing. The thing's my favorite because it has everything. You have goop, you have transformations, you have gore, you have everything.
That's why it's the gold standard for body horror.
Forget Cronenberg. I don't want you to watch this. Cronenberg. It's all about.
I like
Carpenter.
sort of, or like in Evil Dead 2 when it's like a head on like a neck. I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it.
The one that like when her neck extends and it's all like
head and
swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul.
Yeah. The stop motion. Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Sam Raimi. What a king.
That's like the epitome of horror. Is the perfect blend of slapstick and genuine body horror.
Yeah. Oh man. I kind of just want to watch Evil Dead now because it really is the best body horror for me. When at the end of the first one, when they're all like melting after he like defeats everyone, it's all like gross and I love it.
I thought the movie Malignant had some wonderful body horror.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna say what it is because it's a big reveal, but I enjoyed that so greatly.
Yeah,
I loved that.
The gross out, but like the bit with the reveal. With the tearing reveal.
Especially because it starts out as seeming like a very paranormal, like maybe demon possession sort of horror, which is not
genius twist.
But then it became, body horror, which is what I love, and it was just so fun. It was like a John Wick movie almost.
Oh my god, yeah! The fight.
Oh my god, yeah.
PlayStation, absolutely. Like that.
And
was
it was
insane.
original.
Yeah, it
was
was.
fresh.
Just keep getting James Wan as much money as he wants. Just fund him. Give him money. It's fine. I don't care if we get
Why
a Saw
it's like
movie. That's okay.
I'm glad that he's combining with who is it?
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason Blum.
For sure.
Yeah.
that's
for sure.
exciting.
There's so many opportunities with that. There's so many things that like
It's one merger I can get behind.
yeah, usually mergers
Yeah.
kind of like but like this one I'm like, yeah, no, this is a team up. This is like an actual thing that could be good for the
Because these
genre.
are two people that do have their own horror companies, and they're in it because they're genuine fans of the genre. I don't know if you've seen a lot of interviews with Jason Blum, but he seems like the best guy to work with when it comes to horror, with how much he cares.
Yeah.
I don't love all the movies that he has produced, but
But I feel like it's like that with James Wan too, because like you can see it. Like it, not only does he talk about it, but you can also see it in his work, like how much he
oh
cares.
Yeah,
it
you know,
shows.
I have had a big turnaround with Jason Blum. I used to be like, oh, you know, truth or dare, wham. But like, I really respect the guy now. I really respect what he's doing for the genre now. I do.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
he
why we need more horror movie directors doing comic book movies, because like the little sprinkle in there, perfect.
there's so much horror in comic books. They need to utilize that more for sure, and they don't. They
No.
really don't. Like New Mutants. That was going to be pretty horror. They botched it. Or the worst of them all.
Oh
Multiverse of
man,
Madness.
that was the biggest bait and switch we've ever had.
That was good. That was supposed to be so great. I think it was the merger's fault for that one, really, right?
I just
I
don't
think it was
about
that
it.
and like the
I can't think
delays
about
and just
it.
everything about it.
I am just thankful that they cut Mr. Sinister out of that movie.
Yeah.
Because not only would he have been wasted, but I don't think the MCU would have touched him if he was already in a movie like that. Now they're free. He hasn't appeared yet.
Yeah.
So you win. So win for Blake.
I think we've been talking about this a lot, though, Blake, with like wanting to see Marvel, at least, just Marvel on its own, dealing with its horror-centric characters. We want to see Ghost Rider. We want to see Blade. We want to see.
I would have fought till the end of my days for that Scott Derrickson Multiverse of Madness that he wanted to make.
I know.
It would have been brutal, and that's exactly why he stepped away. Because he's like, I'll never get to make this movie how I want to do it.
Yeah, I am happy with Raimi though, but I'm so partial to Raimi that I'm like, I Raimi. I just wish Raimi could have written it. I feel like if Raimi could have written it, we could have had like a drag me to hell kind of situation.
It had his fingerprints on it, but it truly wasn't his brainchild.
No,
and it shows.
That's the thing. That was my biggest beef with it because, like, you know, there's so many moments. I was like, that is pure Raimi. That is
hand coming up with the lightning strike.
Coming up,
there's a lot of compromise there.
Yeah, or coming through the mirror.
The coming through the mirror was Evil Dead 2 all the way.
Or the pretty fun jump scare with Wanda coming in with the red eyes.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Very good.
It's simple. It's so simple. But in the beginning at the wedding, the swings over and goes to handheld the camera. It makes me think of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, what was it, 2 or 3? 2. Yeah, it was 2.
Yeah, and again, those movies had little douses of, I don't know necessarily horror, but scary moments that terrified me as a kid.
My first jump scare was Spider-Man.
Are you kidding me?
1.
Like the introduction of Doc Ock in 2 was like insane.
Not only that, but the introduction of Goblin.
Oh,
that man was a monster.
Yeah. The intro to Doc Ock is pure Evil Dead. If you ever like go back and watch it.
It's the cabin, like every cabin shot.
Oh yeah.
Or the woods.
So is there anything else body horror that we need to cover?
I think we missed the goat human centipede, but
I was actually gonna say that. I think that's when I think of like disturbing body horror, that's what I like think of. Like I think that's like the worst of the worst to me.
It's here's a creepy idea and we're just not gonna execute it well.
I
don't even think you could have like a perfect writer and have that executed well, because that's just
it's just a gross concept and nobody really wants to watch that.
It's a gross and screwed up concept that like I can't believe actually somebody would want to make that.
They made 3 of those.
One,
I know.
I've only seen the first and the second, but the second one is so like bleak. It's all black and white and like dingy and grainy, and it's like
I haven't seen it.
I skimmed through it. I didn't like watch
it. It gives me Grindhouse vibes. Just like that grainy serial horror B movie kind of thing. I'm interested in it, but I haven't heard the best things about it.
No, I promise you, it's no. No, you'll be a better person not watching it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Cannibal Holocaust. Honestly, it's not worth it. If you want a good Cannibal Holocaust, Green Inferno. Can't vouch for that movie enough.
Okay. Inferno is just gross. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for I've had a blast. Thank you, Cam, for joining us. And
thank you, Cam. It was nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. This
guys.
is fun.
Yeah, we should do this for another genre. This is really fun. I've had a blast. Smash that subscribe button. I don't know.
Smash that watch later button.
Smash that. Watch our videos. Don't watch.
We can't make you.
I think we're pretty wrapped up here. Cool. All right. Until next time.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.